Hey everybody, welcome to Ask Dr. Testosterone, starring Dr. George Soulianos and brought to you by his new book, The Bible of Bodybuilding 2. Look at the size of that thing, good Lord. Everything you need to know about training, nutrition, supplementation, PEDs, available on Amazon.com, where you can also get real bodybuilding from me, Ron Harris. You can keep it real. And now all the way from Athens, Greece, please welcome Dr. George Soulianos. Hey, Doc.
Hi, Ron. Have a nice week.
So I woke up and saw you and Chad Nichols had a little exchange on social. Was it Instagram?
Yeah, it was on his Instagram account, and he initially popped out a video about speaking the notorious Tren calf.
Yeah.
And my theory is that I've told this to Bill Willing, as a matter of fact, and Bill promised me that in his next anabolics book he will mention this because it sounds solid. Now we answered this also in the Q&As those 4 years. But yeah, the explanation is dual. So it's double the phenomenon of this coughing. First of all, when you inject abruptly, usually, any oily solution that contains benzolium, this is an alcohol, and this can lead also to a little bit of embolism. That means passing some oil into the venous, let's say venous venous, the small veins that take the heart back to the lungs and to the blood back to the lungs and to the heart for oxygenation. But this may cause a small embolism. Now, the most complicated chemical part is that trenbolone kicks prostaglandins, that are inflammatory cytokines that are responsible for bronchospasm. And as a matter of fact, trenbolone is so anabolic because it crashes on catabolic hormone cortisol. That cortisol leads to bronchodilation. This is the reason why trenbolone users have bronchoconstriction and a suppression in VO2 max. So it's not a good idea for, let's say, not powerlifters, for the strongmen that have to do also a small cardio part, or most likely the CrossFitters that they have to engage also a lot of cardio. They express a lowering and drop in the VO2 max and the way they assimilate the oxygen. So it's not so good idea to do this. And this is the reason. Yeah, he told me this is a great post. So I believe these are the reasons that I've expressed. Now, I've experienced coughing also with testosterone cypionate because of the benzolium, and when I injected it really abruptly.
Yeah.
But the rest about the prostaglandins, there is a correlation with bronchodilation and bronchospasm. Besides, the most solid part is that everybody who's using trenbolone is short of breath and cannot breathe properly in the long run, okay? Not just after injecting. So it has to do with cortisol that bronchodilates. And cortisol goes down with trenbolone, with Winstrol, with a lot of anabolics because it's the catabolic hormone. We need to keep cortisol down in bodybuilding to grow.
The strange thing the ironic thing about that is a lot of bodybuilders and other competitors use Tren as part of their pre-contest cycle, and that's also when you're doing a lot more cardio. So exactly. Your cardio fitness is going to be screwed, and some of these people are trying to do like an hour to 2 hours of cardio a day in extreme cases. So that's probably why they have to go slowly, because they literally can't go much faster. They can't get the oxygen.
Exactly. Yes.
Wow. So yeah, there's side effects for everything, guys, and now Tren cough. But as you pointed out, you can get a cough from injecting anything that's got benzyl alcohol in it as a solution, right?
Yeah, if you do it fast and rapidly, you don't wait a little bit to do it slowly, you can get a little bit of oily embolism,
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's get to some questions from the viewers. We appreciate you guys. So, question: will Anadrol and Anavar show up on a urinalysis drug test? If so, how long until they are out of the body enough to successfully pass a urinalysis? Thank you for the education. I learn more and more every episode. Anadrol and Anavar. How long do those stay active in a urine test?
Now, in order to eliminate any substance from the system, it's the result of 4 parameters. First of all, body mass index. If you are 7 feet tall, 350 pounds, it's more likely to get it out of the system, and you metabolize more than a guy of 5'5", 150.
Okay.
All right. Number two is the amount of adipose tissue that you have. The more fat you have, the more you hold the substance. So if you are ripped, you have more chances to eliminate this. The other is the basal metabolic rate and how much you train. If you do double seasons of training, you kind of expendable the drug, and you metabolize it faster, of course, and gets out of your system. You use this as a fuel. And then is the hydration rate. If you drink, let's say, 5 gallons or 10 gallons a day, it depends, because then with urination you excrete the compound.
Yeah. So let's take a guy. Let's just take a theoretical bodybuilder, 225 pounds, very lean. Let's say he's 10% body fat, drinks plenty of water. What was the other parameter we're looking at?
Double seasons of workout.
Trains very hard. So let's say that guy stops taking Anadrol. We're recording this on a Monday morning. Let's say he usually takes 50 milligrams each of Anadrol and
also the amount you take is another parameter, of course, because it's different if you take 50 or 5 milligrams a day, because you have more to eliminate. Now, according to the half-lives back in the 80s, of the particular substance, the orals usually have 8 hours half-life. Let's say it's less than a day.
Okay.
But the half-life means that 50% of the substance is eliminated. So in order to get to the 5% or 0.5, you need a couple of days. And they used to speculate that 3 weeks window is a perfect timing. Now, the more modern assessment is through the metabolites. So the metabolites of the particular substance may last in your system weeks or even months after the event. And you're good, even though everything is over, they detect you, something like the smoke and the fire, long time afterwards.
Because, perception is that Olympic athletes are all on drugs, but they're on orals, and they know they have team doctors to get them off in time to pass the test.
Yeah, I was speaking to Big Conte also on Twitter this morning, Henry Collins as well. And he said now the microdosing of compounds is a new deal. They say that if you take testosterone microdosing at 10 milligrams a day, it doesn't pass through the radar of the detection.
Wow.
Yeah. The microdose, because if you do a larger dose, will spike, and it will disrupt the ratio of testosterone, epitestosterone, that has to be 1 to 6. Now, Patrick Arnold was a genius who was using the cream that was containing both testosterone and epitestosterone in the perfect ratio. And no matter how much you're using, the ratio was always the same.
Wow. What a genius Patrick was. Jeez.
Yeah.
Still is, I'm sure. Yeah, that was that Ben Johnson? Who was the big Ben Johnson?
Ben Johnson. No, Ben Johnson was using stenazole.
Oh, I'm going way too far back.
Aaron Jones was using the clear.
Right.
The Tim Montgomery, CJ Hunter also.
The cream in the clear. Yeah, legendary. All right, let's go to the next one. I'm currently giving my wife 25 milligrams of DHEA per day and 200 milligrams of DIM, which is diindolylmethane. But as a side effect, her period is coming every 2 weeks. Last time when I gave her DHEA about 1 year ago, she had some clitoral growth, facial hair, and some vaginal cysts. Should she stop taking DHEA? What else can I give her? What are the best supplements and PEDs for maximum libido for women? Can you please state the dosage as well? So now I know why he's giving his wife all this stuff. He wants to make her horny. So
DHEA works, and I've experienced this also through my current girlfriend, that she took also a tablet of 25. She was sexually aroused. But listen, DHEA is much safer than the anabolic steroids. Now, the safest anabolic steroids are the low androgenic Winstrol, Anavar, primo, but still there are DHT derivatives that can give some virilization. It's like using, for instance, Proviron in a woman, which is something like an androgen. But the woman has to calculate to measure in the blood the DHEAS levels, and according to the blood levels, she has to accordingly to the blood level, she has to supplement. So either, let's say 10, 20 milligrams, because if she's over the range, it's not cool, okay? So if you are 50%, let's say take 25. If you're over 50%, just take 10. If you're below 50%, take 10 milligrams twice. And follow up your DHEAS levels, the sulfate that are the active form. Okay. But in women's HRT, I prefer DHEA rather than testosterone. Because testosterone has to be really low, 0.5%, the cream, okay? DHEA is safer, and it's a mother of all hormones that is metabolized also to estrogens, to androgens, okay? And it's a better profile to use. It supports also the adrenals. So I think the problem here was that she didn't measure in first place how much was the levels of DHEA, and perhaps she overdosed for a prolonged period of time.
I mean, it sounds like I had no idea DHEA could do all that. These are all the classic things that happen to women, the side effects from testosterone.
Yeah. I'm not sure if she doesn't take anything else, because it sounds like, overkill this just by DHEA, because it sounds like she was taking also other orals.
She might have been. Check her medicine cabinet, sir. All right, here we go. Just kidding. Next one is, I'm on TRT, 200 to 250 milligrams a week, and I wonder, do you know of any supplement similar to aspirin, anticoagulant, antithrombotic that can help with blood flow, prevent blood clots, and help lower hematocrit and hemoglobin? Maybe something with less side effects. I tried aspirin, but it makes me bleed a lot, even from the smallest scratch, and wounds heal very slowly compared to when I'm not taking it.
Yeah, we've said that for those that suffer from enzymatic deficiency G6PD, they can use fish oil instead.
Okay.
Even if you take fish oil a lot, you will start experience bleeding in case, the bleeding doesn't stop in case you have a nose bleeding, let's say, or you cut yourself while shaving. But the other medication that I'm also using, and I said that to the muscular development running now in February, is the pentoxifylline. This medication is not a blood thinner, but though it's able to improve the circulation by improving nitric oxide, and it's against the thrombotic phenomena, with deep venous thrombosis or pulmonary embolism. So pentoxifylline at 400 milligrams is a good medication for those that have erythrocytosis.
Perfect. Cool. Next one, I've got something I'd like a deeper dive into that has been lightly talked about, but not heavily discussed. The effects of gear on lipids, specifically how quickly serious effects occur with an HDL below 40, effects on LDL, and how to raise your levels. My HDL is usually 47 to 52, and LDL stays around 40, and those numbers are off gear. I'm nervous because my baseline is so low, and I've tried to tell doctors I think it's an issue to be that low, but none will agree with me. They're only worried about high lipids. Are low lipids a bad thing too?
I don't think so, because when you have a heart attack or you have, put in stent, cardiologists say that LDL has to be close to 50. This is what Connor does also with Repatha. But we've said that it's a classic deviation and distortion side effect of the steroids that lower the good cholesterol, the HDL, and they elevate the bad cholesterol, the LDL, and total cholesterol too, and the homocysteine. That is also linked to heart attacks and strokes and thrombosis. So you need to start a good baseline using steroids. So LDL to be below 100, HDL over 40, total cholesterol below 200, triglycerides below 150, homocysteine below 10. And then start using some supplementation and statins right after the cycle. Don't mix the statin with the steroids, because you will mess up your liver and your muscles. And then this rhabdo will stress your kidneys. And of course, take EFAs and whatever supplementation we said, red rice yeast, polycosanol, bergamot. Otherwise, use the most friendly statin, the robustatin. At lowest dose, I'm taking Crestor, 5 milligrams every day. All right.
You're on less than me. I'm on 10 milligrams of Lipitor. All right. Let's see. Here we go. What kind of mild cycles would you recommend to a 50-year-old lifelong natty starting TRT to be in the upper range. The goal would be to blast 2 times a year for 2 months with mild steroids like Masteron, Anavar, Deca, equipoise, primo, or Winstrol. What testosterone and anabolic weekly dosage would you recommend to stay as safe as possible? Thanks from Europe, somewhere in the continent of Europe.
Yeah, Ron, I've said that before. I'm not going to give a blessing to a 50-year-old guy who's a virgin in steroids, and supposedly he thought about them now in his 50s.
Yeah.
Stay in your replacement therapy. Winstrol and Anavar and all mild steroids are toxic, 17 alkylated. And just take either providing you have access on it and perhaps a little bit of growth hormone or nandrolone at very small marker dosing. And there's no safe cycle at 50 because at 50, we don't have the same resistance and the same capacity, ability to our arteries and our organs, as we're in the 20s. So I don't want to give a blessing. I'm a Strickland's corner. Maybe I abused in the past, but it doesn't mean now that I'm going to say go for it, okay?
Yeah.
So unless you don't have a serious reason, and I guess now in your 50s, you're not thinking about the supermasters, stay on replacement therapy. This is the best thing you can do for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Connor just did a video. I haven't watched it yet, but steroid effects, side effects over the age of 40. So apparently, it is a little more dangerous for an older guy than it is for a younger guy because our bodies they're not as resilient. They're not as tough as they were when they were young. Next question. Can you ask the doctor, does being overweight with low SHBG always mean insulin resistance while on TRT or not?
When you're not on replacement therapy, when you're a natty guy, low SHBG is linked to metabolic syndrome and diabetes. When you are TRT, low SHBG means that you are using the proper dose of testosterone, and you have low SHBG and a lot of free testosterone. So it's different perspective because when you're natty and you have low SHBG, it means you have probably low testosterone. Of course, metabolic syndrome and diabetes type 2 are linked to cardiovascular disease. But when you're taking testosterone, low SHBG means that you're using a good dose that crushes SHBG and liberates the free testosterone. You feel fantastic because the free testosterone is the one that works. And when SHBG is high, you don't have symptoms of euphoria,
Yeah. TRT person says, hello, I'm on TRT, 200 milligrams weekly, and my SHBG is through the roof at 169. I also have Hashimoto's disease, syndrome, whatever that is, and take combination of T4 and T3, and I know the T3 also dries up the SHBG. Do you think trying 20 to 30 milligrams of Anavar daily would help bring that number down? I would also like to continue gaining weight, but stay fairly lean at the same time. I've heard what you gain from Anavar, you mostly keep. Well, that's a myth. But wow, a lot of SHBG questions. So what was his
SHBG? Now the reason of the elevated SHBG is the thyroid hormone. Metformin also elevates SHBG, liver inflammation, fasting, alcoholism. And now I wouldn't say Anavar is the best option. I know that Anavar is available in the States, but Masteron or Provider are better options because they're not 17 alkylated and you can lower your SHBG. The other option would be to increase your testosterone dose and do a larger dose once a week, let's say 200 milligrams at once. It's most likely will suppress your SHBG on the following 2 days, and you're going to feel better. But taking Anavar all year round because of this, you're going to mess up your lipids, if not your liver.
There's that misconception that there are certain steroids, like he's using Anavar as an example, that you keep more of the gains from one steroid than you do from another.
Oh, come on.
Well, I believe that comes. What happens is certain steroids that cause a lot of water retention, like
exactly, yes.
Obviously, when you stop using, if you're on a cycle of a lot of test and Anadrol and things like that, Deca, you're gonna gain a lot of water. So when you stop taking them, you're gonna lose a lot of that water weight. Whereas maybe if you were on Anavar and primo and stuff like that, Winstrol, you're not going to gain as much water, so you don't lose as much. So people have this idea that, oh, I'm keeping more of what I gained from the Anavar than I was from the Anadrol. when it's not, steroids, you don't keep everything no matter what it is. All right, well, this last question was fascinating to me. I've never heard this question in my life. Can blunt force trauma cause gyno? Years ago, I dropped a dumbbell on my pec and noticed a hard lump near my nipple. Now, years later, if I push the test a little higher than TRT, the lump becomes painful, and I even notice it from the seatbelt, hugs, etc. I do not notice any aromatization symptoms like itchy or sensitive nipples. Just the lump becomes painful on one pec only. I have Arimidex and Nolvadex on hand in case things get out of control. And also, does GH interact with gyno and accelerate growth? But first of all, can you get gyno from smashing your nipple?
I mean, if that was true, then boxers would have a problem,
Right, they're always getting hit.
Yeah, but I think just check out with not actual ultrasound over here to see if there's any. What can we say? I mean, cyst. I don't think so. It's just the mammary gland, But as a matter of fact, yes, GH can elevate, and elevated IGF-1 is linked to gynecomastia. Okay, and prolactin as well as. Apart from the estrogens, all right.
Yeah, but that's crazy. I've never heard of that happening, but yeah, ultrasound would find out. That'd be an awful way to get gyno when you thought you were being careful in every other aspect, and you drop a dumbbell on your chest. Anyway, that's it for the questions for this week, Doctor. Arnold Classic coming right up. Sheesh, whew. Time is flying.
What are your top three? Give me your top three.
Top three. Oh no.
Without the order,
Chad Nichols is watching. So Rami, he's going to win all top three spots. No, I'm just kidding.
I think it's Walker, Rami, and Bonak.
Walker, Rami, Andrew Jacked. Oh, jeez.
And then Dauda and Jacked, top 5.
Dauda looks awesome. It's crazy. I have no idea. What I'm really curious about is this stem cell treatment for Rami on his back. I thought stem cell treatments took months and months to really show a big difference.
This is what Giles also said.
Is that true? I don't, because we're not doctors. We don't know. Giles and me.
Maybe it was a rumor, We shall see from a real double bias if it's fixed.
Because if that happened that quickly, everyone's going to be trying to get stem cells now. Everybody.
But you know what? Flex Lewis tried them in 6 joints. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on his knees.
Wow.
Then he felt great, and the pain was going from 10 to 0, but he retired.
He retired, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't fix he was supposed to do a comeback at the Open.
Well, we did an interview like 6 months ago, and he said shoulder felt fantastic. He was good to go physically. He couldn't eat the food. His digestion doesn't allow him enough to be appetite to eat as much food as he needed to put the size on. So it had nothing. The stem cells, it worked great, but it was a waste because then ultimately it was his inability to eat enough food.
Taking the 7 Olympia of Flex Lewis, comparing to Hadi. Hadi's bigger now.
Oh, yeah.
Hadi's 235 now.
Hadi's physique is not as pretty as Flex Lewis's was. But, we never got to see Flex Lewis at like 220, 230.
They said he was 220 when he was competing because of the loading. So he gained about 8 pounds from loading.
Jose Raymond actually disagreed with that because we just did Giles and I had him on our Power Hour show, and he said Flex would actually drop some weight because dehydration and everything. I think he won his last Olympia at like 208, the last one in 2018. So they do load up, but then they dehydrate. So the body weight's really not what it should be because the water's sucked out of them like a raisin.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway. All right. Well, I want to remind all you guys, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. We have all kinds of awesome content. That's why you want to hit your notification bell there so you know when we have new videos out. We have all these cool new shows lately. We want you to check them out. And of course, share the videos if you like them with on your social media and all that. And if you have questions for the doctor for next week, leave them below in the comments. He's doing a great service for all of us here. A medical doctor who's also a champion bodybuilder. Walk the walk, talk the talk. I can count
I purchased all the 6 magazines in Greece of muscular development.
There was only 6 magazines in all of Greece?
Yeah, 3 of them are framed in my office. One of them is in my office for the audience, for my patients.
Yeah.
And I gave another 2 to my a very good friend, an associate, and to my girlfriend. So they're no more found in critical.
That's funny, man. Your Sean Clarita, he was on the cover, and we sent him a ton, and he bought a ton. He was very happy. You know, it's still a cool thing to be on a magazine cover. You know, it's anybody can put yourself on an Instagram page, but it's not the same. It's not the same. Covers are still something special, I think. Then again, I'm old. Anyway, doctor, thank you so much for helping out the viewers of the world again with all their crazy questions. We're here to help, guys. So please keep watching every week right here on Ask Dr. Testosterone. We'll see you next time.